Next, I'd like you all to welcome to the stage Wole Solana. He's a long-term thought worker. He's encroaching 10 years, which is a good time to be a thought worker because that's when we have a sabbatical where you get some time off. Wole has an interesting background in physics and management consulting, examining companies' statements of cash flow, and then changed career to be a technologist. And this talk is him opening up about his journey, about what it means to move from developer to tech lead and understanding the expectations. So Wole, welcome to the stage.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Appreciate it. Well, hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. My talk is titled, You Know Nothing, Tech Lead. I was pushing to have a pun on Game of Thrones, and my wife told me to stop because she says not everybody watched that, and I don't think a lot of people were happy with the finale. So I will leave it there before I get into too much trouble. So the title of my talk is You Know Nothing, Tech Lead. A little bit about me. I am technically, and this is where the Game of Thrones puns will end, I'm technically a northerner and a southerner. My grandfather is from the northern part of Nigeria. My father is from the southern part of Nigeria. So I was born in Nigeria. I have been at ThoughtWorks for about 9 years. I started off in our Johannesburg office, and then I moved to New York, moved to Chile, moved to Brazil, and then I'm back in Chicago now. So I used to be a nomad. At some point, I was a professional student, like Brandon said, but then I ran out of money for school, and then I became a technologist. This was a purely financial decision. It wasn't, philosophical or anything like that. It was financial. And what I'm here to talk about, as Brandon alluded at the beginning, I'm talking about my experience here and my journey from being, a developer. I always tell people this story that yes, studying and going through physics and things like that, you get to write scripts, but becoming a professional technologist or becoming a professional engineer, all my professional engineering knowledge has been at ThoughtWorks. So I don't have experience anywhere else. I don't know how anything is done anywhere else. I only know how things are done here at ThoughtWorks. And so I'm talking about my journey from being, a less experienced engineer to a now, superhero, tech lead, technologist. There was a whole article once about the globe-trotting lifestyle of a ThoughtWorks tech lead. And I'm like, okay, that's a little bit too much. We're not that fancy, but, it's good. If you want to be a globe-trotting technologist, join us. That's my recruiting pitch right there. I think I've done all that. Good. What I think it was to be a tech lead, starting off, coming from a career where I was doing my PhD, and you're supposed to be the smartest person in the room, and then you come into this new field where you're a novice, you don't know anything. And, as they said, all that I know is that I know nothing. And so when I came in and I started working with ThoughtWorkers, I thought, well, this is what I thought a tech lead was supposed to be. You're supposed to be the technical superhero. You are Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batgirl, whatever superhero you're into, that's who the tech lead is supposed to be. The person who was, everybody's, go-to person. You knew everything about everything. So first of all, you're the most technically proficient member of the team. You knew everything, when it came to, if you're a tech lead, you open up your laptop, you're touch typing, you're writing code, everything is working, you know all the shortcuts, you're so smart and you're the most technically proficient member of the team. So I thought, okay, if I want to be a tech lead, I need to know more than everybody else. I need to be the person who knows everything about everything. You know a lot about a lot. If anybody talks to you about this technology, so say, for example, you're working on a Ruby on Rails project, you know everything about Ruby in and out. You know everything about it. If you're working on Java, you know all the intricacies and everything about Java. Like, just go to the tech lead. He or she, they know everything. And then I also thought that, this is one of the things that maybe was a personal thing, but maybe something else as well in the industry. I always felt the need to credentialize myself. So what do I mean by that? When you step into an environment where most people don't expect you to be there. So I'm a Black man from Nigeria in a field that is dominated not by people like me. I always have that feeling that I need to prove myself, that I'm smart enough to be here. I deserve to be in the room here. I'm just as smart, if not smarter than everybody else. So coming as a tech lead was necessary for me to credentialize myself, to make sure everybody knew that, hey, I'm the tech lead, I'm smart, and everybody knows everything about me. And then, as a tech lead, you're also the benevolent dictator. You have the final say on all decisions. If anybody's going to make any technical decision, it has to be run by you. Everything has to get your approval and stuff. So that was my perception. And I ran with that for a long while until I began to evolve and grow as a person and also as a technologist. And I realized that I'm going to keep the language good, but that was mostly nonsense. It's rubbish. It doesn't apply. And if that's the way you think, we need to have a discussion, because it's not a healthy way for you to think about being a tech lead. And it's not a healthy way for you, because there's a funny saying, which is kind of obvious, that you're a leader if people are following you. So technically speaking, if you're a tech lead, you expect people to be following you. And if no one is following you, then you are not doing any leading whatsoever. And so for you to lead a team, you need to understand what it means to lead a team, not just from a technical perspective, but also from a group perspective. And so one of the things I've learned is that, I don't know everything. And that's okay. I'm fortunate to have been in some situations where it's been okay not to know everything. And I've also been in situations where it's kind of like not okay to not to know everything. I remember maybe I should tell this story or not. Oh, I'll tell it. It's fine. It's water under the bridge. This is 9 years ago. My first day at ThoughtWorks was in Johannesburg, and we had an assignment, and there was something about we had to write some code and stuff, and we're supposed to give the presentation to the entire office. So we walk into the office, and it was a group talk. And there's this funny meme, people have probably seen it, where everybody gets an A on the project, but you don't really do anything. But one person kept on talking, and then someone stopped him and said, "Hey, Wale, what's a class?" And then I stood there, and I was like, I actually cannot define what a class is. And it was very embarrassing. And I got read the Riot Act. I felt really small. I felt really stupid. And it was a very bad feeling. And it was sort of like, I took that feeling with me. I was like, oh, I need to now know everything. I need to be able to answer every question. If a client comes up to you and talks about, hey, what's this database supposed to be? Why are we using a non-relational versus a relational database? You have to know the answer. If you don't know the answer, then you're stupid. Then you're dumb. And I realized that that's not necessarily true. Because the thing is, what I don't know, I can learn. Or I can delegate. When I became a tech lead and I was doing a lot of stuff in iOS mobile, I've been doing that, I really enjoyed doing it. I realized there are other things I did not know. And I was fine with it because there were other people who were much better than I was. And I could say, hey, Peter, could you help me with this? Hey, could you write the script? Could you explain this to me? And for you to be able to come to that point, it requires a level of humility. And sorry, I have a lot of sayings. I think it's the Nigerian in me that's coming out. And there's this funny joke that the thing I'm most proud about is my humility. But in all seriousness, it matters to be humble. It's C.S. Lewis who said that humility is not thinking less of yourself, but rather is thinking of yourself less. And so when I come into that situation where I don't know something, it's not like I'm less of a tech lead or I'm not as smart as I'm tech lead for a reason. I'm being made tech, so I obviously know something. So I need to take away my insecurities and my crutches and be able to come to a bit of humility and say, hey, I don't know this. Could you explain this to me? Hey, we need to achieve this as a team. And I'm not that proficient in this. Is there anybody on the team who knows this or who might know this better than I do? Or, you have to come to that place where you're not always thinking of how are people going to perceive me? How am I always going to be in front? Because being tech lead is not about visibility. It's more about responsibility. Sometimes when you come to a place as a tech lead, you want to be known. You want to be seen. When you're 16, 17, 18, that matters. When you get to my age, it really doesn't matter if I'm seen or not, because I know who I am as a person. And my job as a tech lead is to how do I make my team better and not how do I come to the front all the time. That's not the point of being a tech lead. It's also important to be approachable. I've worked with people who, intimidate you with their aura of knowledge, where, you meet people who, you ask them a question and their first answer is that that's a stupid question, or I don't believe you don't know that, and things like that. When you are that kind of tech lead, it automatically places a barrier between you and the rest of your team. Because as a tech lead, one of your jobs or one of the things you're supposed to do is to help other people grow. If other people are not growing, then you are failing. If you're the only one who seems to be doing well and everybody else is trudging along, we're just making a day-to-day 9 to 5. Oh, do you know this? No, I don't know. Ask the tech lead. Oh, ask the tech lead. Then you're failing at your job. You have to come to a point where your team feels empowered and they know how to do things. And you must be approachable. Your team must be able to find within, around you, to be a safe space. It's a safe space not to know. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges I've seen in the technology space, is that people are always afraid of looking stupid. And when people are always afraid of looking stupid, it's always this facade where we're all pretending and no work gets done because everybody assumes everybody knows about everything. And nobody says, I don't really know that. We have a discussion. Because when that happens, you realize that at the end of the day, I use a very common word, you upscale your team. Because there's somebody on the team who knows a lot about Node.js, and you know a lot about React. And then, oh yes, it's JavaScript, but it's not actually the same. Can we have a team discussion? Can we uplift the team where that which you know, you share, and that which I don't know, I learn? So being approachable matters because it cultivates a culture of safety where people are not afraid not to know. And I think the final thing that I've learned is it's collaboration over control. I want to create an environment where people are able to collaborate with each other. People are able to work together because the team is supposed to move forward. Again, as a tech lead, it's not all about me. It's about the team. How do we achieve our goal? We're moving together as a team. I might be the person who is quote unquote in front that everybody sees, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just me doing the work. There's always the funny saying that if I've been to achieve more than my contemporaries, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. It's sort of that kind of thing. As a tech lead, people see you, but you have people raising up your hand. People are helping you. People are, things you don't know, people are doing things for you. So it's about collaboration. We live in a culture where competition is more important. I want to be first. So when you compete, obviously by definition, there has to be a winner or a loser. But as a team, we win together and we lose together. We achieve what we achieve together and as a team. And when we collaborate, we move together towards achieving those things. And yeah, those are a lot of the things I have learned and I've come to learn from being a tech lead. And I end my talk with this quote by Socrates. And it says that the more I know, the more I realize that I know nothing. Thank you very much for your time.